The call came at 6:12 a.m. I was tying my work boots, fumbling with the worn laces, hands shaking from another 12-hour night. My phone lit up. Ethan, my stomach sank. We hadn't spoken in months, not since Mom went into the care facility. Not since he decided he was in charge, I answered. Mom died last night, he said. No greeting, no pause, just those words, sharp and cold. My chest tightened, my throat locked. Then he added almost casually, like he was checking the weather, I inherited everything, you get nothing. A smile crept onto my face, not a happy one, a knowing one, because I finally understood something I had ignored for years. Ethan thought I was powerless. I am not. Let me rewind, I'm not a storybook hero, I'm not wealthy, I work 12-hour shifts at a packaging plant. I live above a nail salon, I eat instant noodles more often than real meals. Ethan, on the other hand, wore suits that cost more than my rent. He collected watches, he collected influence, he called it ambition, I called it distance. After Dad died, I moved back home to care for Mom. She needed help dressing, bathing, cooking. I became her constant, her shadow. Ethan promised to handle the finances, and he did, quietly, efficiently, at a distance. At first I trusted him, I shouldn't have. He started visiting less. Then not at all. The phone calls dwindled, the reassurance vanished, and when he did show up it was for selfies and small talk. Then he left. People called me noble, loyal, selfless. I felt invisible. Then 3 months ago he called. We're moving, Mom, he said, private facility. Better care? I protested. She didn't want to go. She's confused, he said. This is for her own good. The car came, the paperwork was signed. I wasn't allowed in the room. That night Mom called me crying. She asked why I had abandoned her. I hadn't. But Ethan had already rewritten the story, and now he thought he had won. Did you hear me? He said on the phone. I heard you, I replied. Good, he said. I thought you should know. Click. I stared at my reflection in the cracked mirror, hollow eyes. Older than I should be, and for the first time in years I stopped being afraid. Ethan thought he could erase me. He was wrong. I didn't go to work that morning. Instead, I sat on the edge of my bed staring at my phone, replaying Ethan's words. You get nothing? The sting wasn't just about money, it was about erasure. By noon, I found myself outside the care facility. The building gleamed with glass and steel, pretending warmth. It smelled faintly of antiseptic and faux lavender. The kind of place that hides rules behind words like premium care and exclusive membership. I walked to the front desk. I'm here to see my mother, I said. The receptionist typed something and frowned. I'm sorry, she said carefully, you're not on the approved visitors list. My stomach sank. I was her primary caregiver for 8 years, I said, voice tight. She shook her head. Your brother updated the list. Of course, I asked for the administrator. I waited 47 minutes in a stiff vinyl chair. My hands shook as I gripped the armrests. Finally, the administrator appeared. She didn't sit. Your brother has legal guardianship, she said. He instructed us not to allow unscheduled visits. I whispered, why? Her silence was the answer. Ethan didn't want me there, not ever. I left without another word. The elevator ride down felt like passing through a void. On the bus home, I replayed every detail, every missed visit, every broken promise. That night, Ethan called. I let it ring twice. Have you calmed down? He asked, tone light. Calmed down from what? I said. You didn't understand, he said. I was generous to even call you. Why? I asked. Why cut me out entirely? He laughed softly, a sound meant to wound. You didn't have anything to begin with, he said. My fingers dug into my palms. I gave up everything for her, I whispered. And I paid for everything, he said. Care has no market value, assets do. That's when it hit me. 6 months ago, Mom had signed a will. Ethan presented it, clear, legal, binding. She left him everything. Did she know what she was signing? I asked. Not my concern, he said. Then he delivered the final blow. She told me you were suffocating her, he said. I froze. She said you made her feel trapped. Every lie stung sharper than a physical blow. This wasn't just theft, this was complete erasure. He wasn't taking my inheritance. He was rewriting my life, and for the first time I realized the truth. I had been collecting pieces of evidence for years. Quietly, methodically, he had built his empire on deception. And I had the tools to dismantle it. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the apartment, every hum from the street below felt louder. My mind replayed Ethan's call. She told me you were suffocating her. That was the mistake he didn't realize he had made. 6 months ago, Mom wasn't in her right mind. I had known it. I had documented it. After Dad died, Mom's confusion was subtle at first, forgetting the day, mixing up names, misplacing bills. Sometimes she'd put her purse in the oven. Once she tried to pay the mailman with a handful of coins she had pulled from her pocket 3 days earlier. Ethan ignored all of it. I started keeping a notebook. Dates, times, incidents, doctor visits, medication changes, cognitive tests, audio recordings. Every time she was confused or scared, I captured it, always for her protection, never to humiliate. I also kept a digital copy of everything: medical reports, neurologist evaluations, prescriptions, all highlighted, all meticulously organized. Then I remembered something more. 2 years ago, Mom had asked me to type a letter for her, not a will, just a letter, something she wanted preserved in case she forgot how to say things later. She dictated every word. I typed. She reviewed it, her handwriting, her phrasing, her voice untouched by coercion. I found it now on an old laptop. I didn't open it yet. I just held it, letting the weight of it sink in. Ethan thought I was weak. He thought I was emotional. He thought he could erase me from Mom's story. He was wrong. I pulled out my notebook, page after page of proof. March 3rd, did not recognize me. March 7th, asked if Dad was alive. April 12th, attempted to pay mailman. April 30th, mistook Ethan for a doctor. May 18th, Mom confused, thought I was stealing from her, cried for 2 hours. 6 months ago, the exact time he presented the forged will, the pattern was undeniable. Ethan had convinced himself he was untouchable, that Mom's mind was clear, that I was powerless. But I had been living in reality while he collected illusions. Reality leaves traces, and I had them all. I didn't feel anger, not yet. I felt clarity. I understood why he was confident, why he smiled, why he had rewritten history. He had underestimated me, and that mistake would be his undoing. I took a deep breath, feeling the first rush of control I'd had in years. I was ready. I did confront Ethan. That was deliberate. Every instinct screamed at me to call him, scream, expose him, but I had learned reactions are weaknesses. Silence is power. I took a week off work, told my supervisor there was a death in the family. She didn't ask which one. I turned my apartment into an archive. Folders, binders, flash drives, notebooks, everything organized by date, type, and relevance. Medical, legal, personal, financial, every incident documented, every slip of truth preserved. I requested Mom's full medical records. The clinic still recognized me as her primary caregiver. Ethan hadn't updated anything. He had left openings. Every record confirmed what I already knew: cognitive decline, impaired judgment, medication that altered perception, evaluations recommending she not make independent legal decisions. I highlighted, digitized, and cross-referenced every line. I went to the county office, pulled the will. The signature looked forced, shaky, uneven. I placed it next to her real handwriting samples. The difference was undeniable. I didn't act rashly. I watched. I monitored Ethan, social media, public appearances, posts of him in his house, wine glasses, sunsets, captions about new beginnings. Never a word about Mom, never a word about me. He began liquidating assets. Mom's piano, Dad's tools, her jewelry. I screenshotted every sale, every post, every smug smile. 2 weeks later, he called. "How are you holding up?" he asked, deceptively calm. I said nothing. "I've been thinking," he continued. "Maybe we should meet, clear the air." I smiled, not because I trusted him, because I knew why he was calling. He wanted me calm, he wanted me quiet, he wanted my signature. "I don't think that's a good idea," I said. He chuckled. "Still dramatic. I just want space," I replied. A pause. "Some documents require your acknowledgement," he said. "Nothing major formalities." I told him I'd consider it. That night I prepared 3 backups of every file, physical and digital, timelines, annotations, cross-references. I practiced explaining everything aloud, imagining a courtroom, every scenario, every objection, every manipulation he might attempt. I didn't feel powerful. I felt steady, heavy with purpose. What I was about to do wasn't revenge, it was excavation. I would dig up the truth he had buried, and when it surfaced, it wouldn't just challenge him, it would dismantle him, and the best part, he wouldn't even see it coming. Ethan wanted the meeting in a neutral spot, a cafe downtown. Glass walls, sunlight pouring in, the kind of place that feels public but is quiet enough to control. I arrived early, chose a corner table by the window, sunlight streaming and made everything visible. When he walked in, I barely recognized him. He looked relaxed, carefree. Like grief had skipped him entirely. "Hey," he said, leaning in for a hug. I didn't stand. He froze for a moment, then laughed it off. "Still angry, huh?" I said nothing. He ordered for both of us. Black coffee for him. Latte for me, the one he remembered I liked. That detail used to matter. Now it felt bitter. "I don't want this to be a war," he said, smiling. "We're family." I tilted my head. He slid a folder across the table. "I need your signature," he said. "Just formal acknowledgments, nothing major." I didn't touch it. "You were emotional when I told you," he continued. "I don't blame you, but legally everything is settled." I waited. "Is it?" I asked. "Yes," he said too confidently. Confidence, that was his mistake. I opened my bag. Placed 3 documents on the table: a cognitive assessment from 6 months ago, a neurologist's letter, a highlighted prescription change. He glanced. "What's this, Mom?" I said. 6 months ago." He smiled, then faltered. "She was diagnosed with impaired judgment," I continued. "Legally, she couldn't sign documents without evaluation." His jaw tightened. I slid the audio drive toward him. "What's this?" he asked. "Her voice," I said, afraid, confused, saying she didn't understand what you were doing. He laughed too loudly. "You recorded her, that's sick," he said. "For doctors," I replied, "which you ignored." He leaned forward. "You don't want to do this, I can make it hard for you." I smiled, sad, calm, unshakable. "You already did," I said, and then he made the fatal mistake. He leaned back, relaxed, smug. "She signed because I told her you were stealing from her," he said. Time stopped. I stared. He had confessed, spelled it out. I didn't move, I didn't speak, I just let him hang in the weight of his own arrogance. Because in that moment, I knew I didn't just have evidence, I had a confession, a weapon forged from his own words. The cafe was quiet. The sunlight cut across the table. He didn't notice the subtle shift, the realization coming for him, and I didn't need to act yet. I only needed patience. I didn't react immediately. Every nerve screamed strike now, but I had learned truth hits harder when it's patient. 3 days later, I hired a lawyer, not a flashy one, quiet, precise, meticulous. She listened, asked almost nothing, and let me lay out years of evidence: notebooks, audio files, medical records, handwriting samples, screenshots, timelines. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she said, "He thought you were harmless." I nodded. "He was wrong," she said. The petition was filed within a week. Mental incapacity, undue influence, coercion, fraud, fiduciary abuse. Ethan was served. He called, screaming, raging. "You're trying to steal from me," he barked. "No," I said, "I'm returning what you took." "You have nothing," he said. "No lawyer will take this seriously. You're broke, emotional, powerless." I thought of the cafe, his words, his confession. "I do," I said. The court date arrived. He showed up confident. Designer suit, expensive watch, rehearsed charm, a performance. I sat behind my lawyer, hands folded, heart steady. When he testified, he played the role he always had: responsible, caring, trustworthy. A devoted son protecting his mother. Then it was my turn. I didn't cry, didn't shout. I spoke slowly, clearly, deliberately. I described Mom's confusion, the nights she asked if she was dying. The mornings she forgot how to make tea, the times she begged me not to let Ethan take control. Then my lawyer played the recordings. Mom's voice, small, shaky, terrified. "I don't understand why Ethan is angry. He says my other son is lying. I don't remember saying that." Did I say that? The courtroom went silent. Ethan's face turned ashen. Then the handwriting expert confirmed the forged will. The doctors confirmed mental incapacity. The financial records and screenshots proved asset sales before probate. Finally, the cafe confession. "She signed because I told her you were stealing from her," the recording played. His own words, clear, irrefutable. He tried to deny it. The recording repeated. The room felt like ice. He couldn't look at me. He couldn't explain it. The judge leaned forward, her eyes sharp, unyielding. I felt no triumph, not in that moment. I felt years of invisibility, erasure, betrayal, and humiliation break open. I had been heard, not because of anger, not because of rage, because of truth. Ethan thought he had won. He hadn't. And the silence afterward wasn't emptiness, it was clarity. The ruling came on a gray Tuesday morning. No courtroom drama, no grand announcement, just a PDF in my lawyer's portal. The will was invalidated, undue influence, mental incapacity, fraud, coercion, all of it confirmed. The estate was frozen, the assets reversed. Ethan was removed as executor. Reported for elder financial abuse. I didn't celebrate. I sat on the edge of my bed holding the phone, staring at the ruling. Hollow, quiet, shaking, exhausted. For the first time I cried, not loud, not theatrical, just silent sobs that clawed from deep within me. The house was ours again, not his house. Ours, walls that smelled faintly of lavender cleaner, Mom's old clock still ticking in the hallway, her quilt folded on the couch, exactly where she left it. Ethan tried to reach me. Texts, emails, calls, first angry, then pleading, then silent. I ignored them all. I didn't need closure from him. The law had given me something better, truth. I planted a small apple tree in the backyard. Mom used to say apples were stubborn. They grow even when the soil is tired. I thought she would like that. People asked if I felt victorious, if I felt like I had won. Revenge isn't loud, it isn't cinematic. It doesn't end with someone kneeling. It ends quietly. It ends when your chest no longer aches when you breathe. It ends when you can sleep through the night. I still work at the packaging plant, I still live above the nail salon, but now when I come home I am visible, recognized. The house remembers me, the walls echo with my voice. Mom's presence lingers, not sick, not confused, but alive. I didn't reclaim everything. I didn't chase lost objects. I reclaimed the essentials, my name, my story, my dignity. Ethan, he lost more than money. He lost the narrative, the story he had tried to erase. And that was the only thing he ever truly valued. I sit by the window some evenings, the sun painting the room gold. Quiet, still, safe. Justice, I realized, is not always dramatic. It is precise, surgical, unyielding, and it is quiet. The court restored what was mine, yes, but more than that, it restored me. I exist. I am not erased. The past is heavy, yes, but it no longer controls me, and that more than any legal victory, more than any restitution, is the justice I sought. It is enough. Even months later, quiet moments hit hardest. Walking into the kitchen, I'd catch myself reaching for the phone to call Mom, then remember she was gone. Passing the care facility, I'd pause, remembering the walls that kept me out. That emptiness wasn't just grief. It was the echo of years I had been invisible, dismissed, erased. I realized revenge doesn't erase pain, it only clarifies it. It gives it shape, names, dates, proof, consequences. It turns chaos into something comprehensible, but the chaos, the betrayal, the humiliation, the constant erasure remained inside me. I started journaling nightly, not for evidence, not for anyone else, for me. To keep the fragments of reality before fear or fatigue swallowed them, I wrote about Ethan. About the manipulation, the gaslighting, the lies, but I also wrote about myself, the quiet resilience I had ignored, the strength I'd cultivated surviving under relentless pressure. Old friends reached out, cautiously. Wondering if I was okay, wondering if I had been broken. I was. Broken is someone who gives up. I was tired, angry, hurt, but not defeated, not erased. Therapy helped me put words to the invisible wounds: hypervigilance, survivor response, identity erosion. Terms for experiences that had nearly stolen my sense of self. I began rebuilding, slowly, small victories, cooking meals, walking through the park, letting sunlight hit my skin without guilt. I reconnected with neighbors I hadn't spoken to in years, life beyond conflict, life outside Ethan's shadow. He occasionally tried to reach me, emails, messages, indirect attempts to assert power. Each time I ignored them. He had given himself away completely in the courtroom. Law, evidence, truth, they had spoken louder than his arrogance ever could. I reflected often on the cafe that day he confessed. I relived it not to gloat but to remind myself patience and preparation can dismantle arrogance quietly, surgically. I smile sometimes now, not at him, not at the court, but at myself, because I finally exist in a world that acknowledges me, Mom's memory, my story, my life, all intact. All reclaimed. The apple tree I planted grows stubbornly in the backyard, a quiet witness to endurance, a reminder that even when soil is exhausted, growth is possible. I don't dwell on vengeance anymore. I dwell on life, on reclamation, on truth. I learned that the ultimate victory isn't in what you take from someone else. It's in reclaiming yourself, and I did. Years later, the echoes of the past still visit me, not often, not with hatred, but with clarity. Ethan is a shadow in my life now, a cautionary figure. I never sought to humiliate him. I didn't need to. I only sought to reclaim my life, my mother's memory, my dignity. I walk through the house she lived in with quiet pride. It's not a mansion. It's lived in, warm, the quilt folded on the couch. The walls faintly scented with lavender. The garden thriving stubbornly, apple, plum, and pear trees. Mom's legacy in soil and wood. I keep her letters, notebooks, and old photos on a shelf. I touch them sometimes, but I don't need them to speak for her. Her essence lingers. Grief is persistent. It doesn't vanish once justice arrives. I still wake some nights, heart racing, thinking I missed a deadline, a call, a warning. Trauma lingers in the body long after threats are gone. I return to routines I had abandoned. Small joys, proper meals, walks in the park, moments of sunlight that felt like permission. Friends cautiously re-entered my life, some with apologies, some with admiration, some just quietly. Their presence reminded me life exists beyond betrayal. Ethan occasionally tried to reassert himself. Emails, calls, indirect attempts to undermine me. I ignored all of them. I didn't need closure from him. He had already lost the story. I realized my true victory wasn't legal. It wasn't financial. It was psychological. He had convinced himself untouchable. He had assumed I was powerless. I proved him wrong quietly, deliberately. No spectacle. No humiliation, just truth and the patience to let it unfold. I sometimes revisit the cafe in memory, the moment he confessed. I replay it not to gloat but to remind myself preparation and patience outweigh arrogance and cruelty. I smile now sometimes, not because of victory over him. Because I finally exist in a world that sees me, a world that acknowledges my story. Mom's memory, my voice, my narrative, all preserved. I learned that survival isn't measured in money, objects, or revenge. It's measured in reclamation, the reclamation of your own life, your own truth, your own dignity. I'm no longer afraid of erasure because I wrote myself back into the story. I exist, I matter, and that, above all, is enough. Years later, I still think of Ethan, not with anger, not often, but with clarity. He is a footnote in my life now, a warning about arrogance, cruelty, and entitlement. I never sought to destroy him. I only sought to reclaim what had always been mine, truth, my mother's memory, and my dignity. I walk through the house she lived in with quiet pride. It's not a palace, it's warm, lived in, her quilt folded on the couch. The kitchen still smells faintly of cinnamon and lavender. The garden is thriving, apple trees, plums, a stubborn little pear tree that refuses to die. Mom's stubbornness lives on. I keep her letters and notebooks on a shelf, dusted but untouched. They remind me of her voice, her phrasing, her humor, her trust. Her presence lingers, alive, not confused, not sick. I sometimes hear the echoes of the past, phone calls, threats, the invisible weight of years spent being dismissed. But they no longer have power over me. I acknowledge them, but I do not dwell. The years of humiliation, betrayal, and erasure shaped me, but they do not define me. I rebuild life quietly, intentionally. Small victories, cooking proper meals, walking in the park, allowing sunlight to touch my skin without guilt, reconnecting with neighbors, friends, and myself. Life outside conflict. Life beyond him. Ethan occasionally tries to reinsert himself into my world. Emails, messages, subtle attempts to assert control. I do not respond. He has given himself away. The law, evidence, and truth spoke louder than his arrogance ever could. I reflect often on the cafe the day he confessed, unguarded. I relive it not to gloat but to remind myself that even in silence, preparation and patience can dismantle arrogance. I smile now. Not at him, not at the court, but at myself, because I finally exist in a world that sees me, because Mom's memory, my story, my life all remain intact. I don't dwell on revenge, I dwell on reclamation. The apple tree in the backyard grows stubbornly, a witness to endurance. A reminder that even when soil is exhausted, growth is possible. I have learned, true victory is not taking from someone else, it is reclaiming yourself. I exist, I matter, I was never erased. The past has weight, yes, but it no longer controls me. Justice, I realized, is not always loud or dramatic. It is precise, surgical, patient, and it is quiet. The court restored what was mine. More importantly, it restored me. The story ends not with hatred, not with public humiliation, but with quiet certainty, dignity preserved, life reclaimed, truth restored. And that, more than anything else, is the justice I sought. It is enough.